Have you ever wondered what it takes to be an executive level leader? Are you curious on how to get to that level? Or maybe you just want some solid leadership tips that'll boost your capabilities as an up-and-coming leader. Well, today we're sitting down with Corporate Vice President Steve Anderson, and he's going to reveal the strategies that he used to rise up in leadership and also how you can stand out even if you're not an extroverted type of personality. Get ready for tips that'll boost your leadership skills and help you turn heads. Stick around to the very end where Steve reveals his #1 tip that all aspiring leaders must do. Steve Anderson is Vice President of Hospital Contracting and Network Administration for a large health insurance company that currently serves over 6 million people in the US. He manages relationships and contract activities for a network of healthcare providers, including 152 hospitals and over 33,000 physicians. Needless to say, Steve is an expert when it comes to provider network strategy, financial analytics, and contract negotiations. But not only does he rocket all that, he has time to serve on multiple community boards, like the Judson Center. It's a nonprofit human service agency that provides services to children and families. Also, the Spina Bifida Association of Arizona and Southwest Autism Research and Resource Center. Steve is a truly humble leader and a great mentor and full of knowledge that will help you stand out as a leader. Before we get started, if you're excited to learn strategies to help you become the standout leader you're meant to be, hit the subscribe button and bell icon now so you'll be the first to know when a new adventure is posted every week. Welcome to Adventures in Leadership on Kristie TV. This is where high achievers go for the tools, confidence, and motivation to become a successful leader. Let's do this. All right, we're here with Steve Anderson. I'm excited he's here. What's going on, Steve? What's up with you?
Just working through a summer.
Okay.
Another long, hot summer.
Okay, cool.
Trying to beat it.
I hear you. I totally hear you. All right. Well, I'm excited that you're here. We're going to get into some questions about leadership. And the first thing, because there might be some people on here that don't know who you are, give us a little bit about Steve, professional, personal. Give us a little bit of tidbits about what Steve Anderson's all about.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first thing you need to know about me is I was born and raised in Seattle. And so from the Pacific Northwest, and a big fan of all that goes on up there, food, drink, sports, culture. Made my way to Arizona, went to school in Tempe, Arizona State University. Worked out there for a couple decades. Sought some refuge from the desert sun. And found myself here in Michigan.
Okay, cool, awesome. Well, I know, in the introduction, I let everybody know that you're a vice president right now, but I know that you didn't just go out of Arizona State and poof, you're a vice president. And this channel is all about for aspiring leaders, trying to learn a little bit more about leadership, which is why I'm kind of excited you're here. And so tell us a little bit about your journey. How did that go? You got right out of college and I know long story short, but how did that go to become a vice president of a major health insurance company?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. No one's really ready for their first big job until they get it.
Yeah.
I always think, no one's really ready to be president of the United States on day one. But certainly there's a lot of growth, maturity, experiences that marinate you, if you will, and get you ready for a bigger role. And so for me, it was that, it was probably 15-ish years at various managerial levels, starting as a supervisor of a couple of analysts in a small company.
Okay.
And then just growing my sort of portfolio of responsibilities, demonstrating some success, capabilities to deal with it, interest in taking on more, and that always gets rewarded with giving more. So pretty soon you have a good sized plate and you can go back and negotiate a new position or a new role. So I went through a couple machinations like that, and here I am.
Okay. So it sounds like one of the keys, at least for you, was asking. Not you. It didn't sound like you waited for it to just kind of fall in your lap. You actually took the initiative and you said, "Hey, I want more responsibility. I want to do this." I mean, would you say
Right.
that was kind of a key for you to keep moving with
Yeah,
that?
definitely. I just would keep going into my boss's office, who was a little bit of a hoarder, had a hard time delegating. And I would just take a chunk of something and walk out and tell him, I'm going to take care of this, all right? Making sure he was comfortable with it.
Okay, well, that's a really good tip. Hopefully everybody there listened to that one. It's just, if you've got a boss that's kind of got a little bit more control of things, it's like, nope, I'm just going to take this and make it
Right,
happen. So
right.
that's a good
Maybe
idea.
it's, yeah, I mean, pick the least favorite thing that he or she may have and say, I will
Mm.
handle this. I'm gonna do it. Keep them involved, but do it, and you'll get another assignment for sure.
Okay, I like that. That's a really good idea because, you're taking it off their hands anyway. They didn't want to
Right.
do it. So,
Right.
they're happy and they're like, here's more. Okay. Um, what would you say, you've had this nice journey of now you are where you are in leadership. What would you say you're most passionate about as a leader? Like you said, you've had a lot of time to marinate, mature, and you've gone through all these things. So what are you most passionate about being the leader that you are?
I think it's a combination. It's doing something new. I
Okay.
really like new ventures, new partnerships. Um, and I generally hire a great team to get it across the finish line because I like to get it across the starting line. But also bringing people along that may, benefit from that exposure. And so developing talent in my organization is a passion of mine. I like to see people excited to be working on new and different things and creating new thoughts and new strategies about how we might tackle some of our large challenges. So I like to innovate. I like to start things. I like to give the team a big picture of what we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want them to go and do it and check in with me along the way, and we'll see you at the end.
Okay. All right. So you love starting things and innovate, being creative and coming up with the new ideas. Do you have like a certain tip or strategy when you're kind of sitting down and you're looking at something, you say, okay, I want to do this a new way or a new process? I mean, do you have like a certain process that you go through, a tip that you can share to help you with the innovation?
One thing I try to challenge my team with is let's pretend everything that we know that will prevent us from doing this is the opposite. So if you think we can't do this because of a number of reasons, let's pretend that they're all reasons why we can do this. Okay. And with that sort of runway, let's see what we can come up with. I think it's real freeing because it's easy to get caught up in roadblocks and reasons why. And, if you just sort of put those on the side and figure out ways to achieve without those obstacles, I think it frees you up to come up with innovative ways to deal with those and to deliver a new and different product.
Oh, cool. So just not only are you trying to come up with a new process, you're asking your team to do a completely different thought process. You know what I mean? Like just think different. So if you're going to come up with something different, you have to think different.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, that makes sense, right? I mean, you bring old thinking into a new idea or process, not going to go very far. Makes sense.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Kind of stuck in the water at that point.
Right.
So you were talking about, people that you bring into your team and things like that. When you're looking to hire someone or to promote someone, what would you say the top two things are that you're looking for? I mean, you touched on innovation, creativity, but when you're sitting down and interviewing someone, and this could be very helpful for those people out there,
if you want a higher level job, what are you looking for? Like what rings Steve's bell? Like, yes, this is it.
Yeah, exactly. It's somebody who has a big picture.
Okay.
We get caught up in the mundane quite a bit. And it's hard to sort of lift your eyes up occasionally and look down and remember this is where we're trying to go. So somebody that can do that occasionally and keep their team on track, I think has a good future. The second thing I look for is their reputation. Are they well regarded by their peers and by their current team and by management? Do they overall have a good reputation? Have they worked hard to develop that reputation, that brand? And will they continue to do so in further association with me? So, somebody you can see a big picture and really help lay out, this is where we're going, and has worked hard to develop themselves and their reputation into something that is well regarded throughout the organization.
Yeah. So you're definitely, when people put down references or something like that, you are definitely calling them up saying, hey,
yes.
How was this person? This is important.
Right. If I don't know that already, yes, I will be making those calls.
Yeah, that's true. So note to everybody, you better have some solid referrals out
That's
there.
Right.
You want
That's right.
Steve. Well, cool. So again, since I said that the show is really a lot about brand new leaders or emerging leaders, aspiring leaders, what would you say would be the top couple things that a new leader needs to learn, right? So we're talking, maybe we had some people that got promoted, they're already in a leadership position, but what about those individual contributors that need to learn a couple things when they get direct reports? Because big difference, right? Big difference. What would you say that they need to learn once they become a leader and have direct reports?
A first rule, and this is one I have tried to live by and still do today.
Okay.
But if you're not willing to do the work that you delegate, then likely others won't be willing either. If you're not willing to get in there, roll up your sleeves, make this happen, you're not going to probably get that support from your team. Some elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder work with your teams often goes a long ways. I think humility is another one. I like to spend a little part of each week walking around and management by walking around, right? Checking in on everybody. How was your day? How was your week? How was your month? And being that colleague as within the management structure. But and I think the third point is really a level of maturity to understand that, and my boss told me this when I got this job, unless somebody tells you you're not doing a good job, you are doing a good job, and you have to be confident in that and keep persisting. It's a lonely, leadership is a little bit of a lonely position.
Okay.
You're at the top, you have to make some calls. And oftentimes it's not real warm and fuzzy with your colleagues, but like I said, some maturity, experiences, some marination in tough environments, I think prepare you, and you have to be willing to be prepared that sometimes, in a leadership position, you're going to have to make a tough call, and or you're going to have to be confident that the work that you are doing is what the company needs, and that your leadership is approving of, because their lives are busy, their desks are full, and they're trying to get their own set of work done. So sometimes far less kudos than as an individual contributor, but unless someone tells you you're not doing a good job, just believe that you are and keep putting in the work.
That's a really good thought, because I know in my coaching practice, I've had clients in the past that really want those words of affirmation, like I'm doing a good job, because they get uncomfortable when people, it's not that they need the praise, they just
Yes.
need the encouragement, like, okay, yes, you're doing a good job. Yes, a little bit of recognition and things like that. But it's interesting when you say that, when you're at that leadership level, when you become a leader, people are busy. They don't always have time to say yes, pat you on the head and say, yes, great job. And like you said, that's a really good point, especially for the people who need constant reinforcement or encouragement. You're probably doing awesome, right? And it's
Yes,
not like you're
exactly.
bad, you're doing awesome, trust me.
Right.
And like you said, if you were not doing a great job, oh, you would probably hear about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yep. And then building that confidence, like you said, when you get to that level, you just have to have the confidence that you're doing it right. And you don't always need the reinforcement, so to speak, just kind of confidence in your
Right.
abilities.
Yep.
Well, good.
Yep. And if you don't have any, seek out a coach like you and
Yeah.
and have that conversation. This is why I'm challenged in my position, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really good advice. I love that. So you've worked with lots of people in your past. You're talking about when you started as a supervisor, now you're a vice president, and I'm sure you've worked with people now, people in the past, and in your leadership position. What would you say that the three essential qualities of a leader have to be? Like, if you're going to be a great leader, and everybody has their own definition of what a great leader is, but in Steve's definition, if you are going to be an awesome leader, what are the three main qualities you have to have?
Yeah, I think the first one is sort of a remnant of that last topic, tough skin. You're going to get criticized. Your decisions are going to get criticized. But again, if you've put in the work, you've built the strategy, you have the consensus, you have to believe that you're going in the right direction and have tough skin when the criticism comes around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think also the ability to speak up, especially in a crowd. Oftentimes we get around large conference tables and there's varying levels of people at the table, maybe some below you, maybe a lot above you.
Mm-hmm.
And you may clam up in those situations. And I would encourage you to talk often and talk early. Get your voice heard. Make sure you're prepared, but don't let those big meetings go by with a bunch of leaders and them not having heard your voice. So speak up, ask questions, offer opinions, offer insight, feedback, but don't be a wallflower.
Okay.
Wallflowers get left behind.
That's true.
And lastly, I think it's really your team. I think I'm a big proponent of, I've done well because I've had a lot of really good team members. I'm always in some tension of continuing to be ambitious and going for opportunity, but also highlighting my team members and making sure they get the recognition and the opportunities for promotion. I think, we have to spend half our time looking out for us and trying to better our position. But I think the other half of the time is acknowledging, highlighting, and developing that team member for their opportunity.
Okay.
So it's a good tension. I think the better someone makes you look, the better you can make them look. And I think people appreciate that. I really appreciate someone on my team highlighting another individual's contributions, because I realize this person knows what they're talking about and they could do this all by themselves, but they're giving that person an opportunity to showcase their skills, their talents. And so I'm pleased that this person is so comfortable to highlight another. So I'm going to be watching out for this person. And now I've got a new person in my view that I can continue to develop and invest in.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And that goes back to what you said about humility. When you're first becoming a leader, to have that humility. And a lot of people feel that the more that you raise up other people, the lower you get. But it's
Right.
like what you just said, it's the complete opposite. And the
Right.
more that you raise others up, the more everybody raises. And you
Yes.
as a leader see the whole team, and the whole team raises at the same time.
Right.
And it would
Right.
be great if more people learned that, to raise others up, not tear them down, as
Exactly.
does happen.
Exactly. I don't think people are looking at the senior leaders around the table for their subject matter expertise.
Mm.
Maybe it is on occasion, but largely, is that person getting the most out of their team, providing opportunity, providing mentorship, development opportunities. And when you see that in action, then you have trust in that person, that that's a good leader. That's somebody who's looking out for the best interests of the company by developing their people, spreading the knowledge, and making a contribution.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I really like the fact that you touched on about speaking up, because there's so many different people out there with different personalities, and some people don't have a problem speaking up. Like I don't, but other people are like, oh, no, I couldn't do that. What if I say something and it's laughed at, or it's wrong, or the boss looks at me funny? How would you being in the position you are, what would you say to somebody sitting in one of your meetings that feel afraid to speak up? I mean, how can you instill that confidence in them to say, look, if the more you're a wallflower, the worse it'll get. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to help the
Right.
team the more you're a
Yep.
wallflower. What would you say to that person to kind of instill a little confidence in them to speak up at those meetings?
Well, I would say two things. First, challenge yourself. Going into meetings, challenge yourself to get heard, and do not let that meeting go by without you speaking up. And I would do it early. The longer you sit and wait, the harder it gets to jump in.
That's
But
true.
I'd also, I'd pick my moment wisely. I'd prepare for the meeting. I'd have my tidbit ready to go. And I would, jump in there when I could, when the time is right and I'm the most confident about the particular subject at the moment, and get on in there. And then I would say it only gets easier the more you do it. So practice, keep contributing. I've run into very few leaders who didn't want to hear, not necessarily from me, but from the whole team.
Okay.
And so, that diversity of opinion, I think, only makes the conversation stronger, the strategies better, implementation quicker.
Yeah.
So I think you should feel confident that the folks around the table want to hear from you. They want your input. And don't make it too long, but just get in there and participate.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up, because like you just said, in your point of view, you want to hear from the team. Leaders want to hear from the people. There are very few leaders, luckily, that don't want to hear from their team, So if you've got that idea, to prepare, to just do it and to challenge yourself, I mean, that's really good advice. I'm glad that you brought that up. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Good.
I like it.
Good.
So tell me, you've had this nice span of leadership experience. What would be the number one thing you learned as a leader now that you wish you would have known when you first had direct reports? Like you just got promoted, you just finally got your first team, and you wish somebody would have sat you down and said, Steve, you really need to know this. Are there a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that first promotion is scary, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
if not
it's
more than one, bestow
yeah.
upon more,
Yeah. The word that comes to mind is consistency.
Okay.
Maybe a new word that is coming into my life just recently is constancy.
Okay.
So, a consistent approach to your people, that includes some fairness, some integrity. I think a consistent attitude, whether you're always an upbeat attitude or if you're always a grumpy person, at least you're the same person sort of day in and day out.
That's true.
But the other thing, and this word is particularly meaningful to me at the moment, but constancy. And that means showing up, every time, participating every time.
Mm-hmm.
Not just when the topic is your topic or something you're comfortable with, or even something you like, showing up when it's another colleague's report or it's somebody else's initiative. Showing support, showing interest, giving feedback, offering to collaborate. I just think the more constant you are in the various conversations and meetings that go on throughout a day,
Mm-hmm.
I think that just gives you extra recognition that this individual isn't just interested about his or her projects and initiatives and budget,
Yeah.
but has a bigger perspective, a bigger interest in moving the collective group forward. And so don't disappear. When other people are giving their updates, stay present, stay in the conversation, and offer what you can. I think everybody appreciates, interest in their particular project, and you will get that back from those individuals too.
Yeah, that's a really good one, because a lot of the times when you're like in an hour meeting and you do your little 5-minute segment, then when it's on to somebody else's segment, you're like, all right, oh, where's the phone? And I'm gonna
Yes.
do whatever. And what you're saying is the benefits are bigger than if you were to just kind of multitask and take your attention. I mean, it sounds like it's a huge benefit that you've learned over the years to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all have an or, and we're responsible for something. But if you're not rowing in the same direction at the same cadence in collaboration, you're not gonna achieve your goal. And so I think just bigger awareness of what's going on around you. It's just additive. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2, 1 + 1 then begins to equal 3 and more.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you might have already answered this. You had a lot of cool, I would say, tips, tricks, and all that kind of stuff for all the people watching. But if somebody came to you like right now and said, I want to be a leader, right? I'm just an individual contributor. I'm not in a point right now where I'm being promoted yet, but what would you say the number one tip would be for anybody who wants to be a leader? I mean, would it be that like consistency and all that kind of thing? Or is it something that you find that would be different?
Leadership is somewhat of an assumed role, and that you can demonstrate leadership qualities in any role that you're in. Maybe you do have a big team and a bunch of direct reports and levels, or maybe you don't, but you can still act as a leader in your capacity.
Yeah.
I often was challenged by the word leadership, just thinking about myself, and I felt like, well, one day I'm going to be a leader. One day I'll grow into that. And I don't think it's that at all. I think it's assuming a responsible position, contributing, being accountable, supporting people. I think those are all leadership qualities. And as you grow in your career, you just get a bigger opportunity to do that. So I would especially say, don't get awestruck by the word leader or by the next title, or by the CEO. Be confident, figure out your own leadership approach and stance and disposition, and work to grow that into a larger presence, into a larger team, into a larger role, Again, I think it's not a hat you put on one day. This is how I go to work. I go to work to contribute, to learn, to encourage, to collaborate. And, I think we're all born with a lot of those innate skills, and developing them, recognizing them, embracing them is part of a leadership journey and role.
Yeah. No, I am so glad you said that, because because in my leadership coaching, that is one of the biggest things that I teach, is you don't need a title to be a leader. And I'm glad it came straight from you, that even if you don't have any direct reports, like you said, or like a team that you're over, I mean, there are still so many things that you can do to display leadership qualities. I mean, you just named a whole bunch of them,
Right.
during this whole interview, and I'm excited for that. And it coming right from the mouth of Steve Anderson himself. I didn't say it. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because there's always this stigma, like you said, the word leader. Oh, I've got to make so much money, or have so many people, or own a business, or do this thing, or whatever. And, there's so many ways that you can display leadership qualities,
Right.
like you just said. So that's exciting. It's good stuff. I'm glad that you mentioned it. Okay. Well, we're kind of toward the end. And what I wanted to do for everybody out there is, I was going to kind of ask you a pop quiz question. What would be a fun fact about you that probably some people out here, it could be like a little story, a fun story about Steve or whatever, because like you just said, breaking the stigma. Some people might look at you when, they listen to your introduction, like, how could I even relate to this guy? He's, thousands of people and 6 million people. And so tell us a little fun story about Steve, or a fun fact.
Well, I think I mentioned I'm from Seattle,
Yeah.
or if I didn't, born and raised there. And I'm a pretty ardent recycler.
Okay.
I don't like to see things not get into a recycle bin, or not be properly exhausted. Like, don't leave any ketchup at the bottom of the ketchup jar. Let's use all of our resources to a maximum. And so my daughter will often sort of market herself to me. Look, Dad, I finished my water. Or look, Dad, I got it all in the recycle bin. Or so yeah, I mean, we got one Earth, right? And we got one chance here, and trying to perpetuate it, I think, is our job. So I'm an ardent recycler, very green, and pursue those things in and out of life.
All right. Yeah. And like you said, maybe it is because you're from the Pacific Northwest, and that's a huge thing over there. It should be bigger everywhere, honestly.
Right.
So I totally agree with you. That was great. I just have one last little thing for you, Steve. Is there anything else that you want to say to everybody out here? One last little parting thought. What you got? What bestow upon us some awesome last knowledge from Steve?
Well, I'll pass along something I heard, and this has several applications in life. So, it's built on your success is dependent on your effort. But really, the business approach to that one is your success is dependent on your personal development. And so I would strongly encourage everybody to be reading something, to be evaluating themselves, to be investing in themselves. You don't wake up and you've arrived at where you're trying to go. It's a journey, and keeping on the development path, I think, is the surest way to get there. So keep working on yourself, learn, read, study, challenge yourself. And that's, I think, the ingredients to a successful career.
Wow. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's why I have so many books.
That's right.
Right?
Right,
We're,
right.
we're always learning. And I'm so glad that you brought up that point, because some people will think, well, once I hit a certain level, there's nothing else to learn. I'm pretty good. I'm vice president, CEO, director, whatever it is. I really don't need that professional development stuff anymore. But like you just said, there's always something to learn. And like you said earlier, you love being innovative and creative. And how can you be innovative and creative if you stop growing?
Right. Absolutely.
So that's the big key. Yeah. So I'm so excited that you took the time on your busy schedule today, Steve. Loved having you here. Hopefully everybody got some really awesome tidbits about what everything Steve had to say today. And hopefully we will see you next time on Adventures in Leadership on Kristie TV.
All right. Thanks, Kristie.
Wow, that session was chock full of fantastic tips. What tip was your aha? What made you stop and think of how you'll stand out as a leader? Most importantly, what tip will you put into action to help you become the leader that you're meant to be? Let me know in the comments below, and if you got a lot of valuable info today, give this video a thumbs up. If you loved what you saw today and you want more, you got it. Just hit the subscribe button and the bell icon below, and you'll be notified when a new leadership adventure is posted every week. And if you know someone who could use these leadership tips, success strategies, or motivational stories, well, hit the share button below and share it with them. They may just thank you for it. Thanks for tuning in to Kristie TV, and here's to you standing out as a leader. Do you want to be a confident, next-level leader, but your job doesn't offer any solid training? Are you unsure of how or where to start? Then let's talk. Schedule a free leadership strategy session with me. If you're a driven professional and you're serious about taking your success to the next level, just click the link in the description below. We'll talk about your challenges and next steps you can take to be the leader you're meant to be. Let's move you forward now.